Hope everybody's doing well. Being that I'm in Thailand at the moment, still wanted to stay connected with everybody who's here for the auditing community. But there's been a lot of things going on in the world that I kind of wanted to touch on. Crazy things, videos, etc. Now this is one of the wildest videos I've been meaning to talk about.
Now seeing
So in this video, basically, three TSA agents um, had a little scheme going on where they essentially are robbing, people who are taking flights. So again, this is just one of the scenarios that I like to point to where people just believe authority, police, security, they're above reproach. This is one of the hard, cold reasons that kind of got to challenge everything. Like, there's a lot of times I'm surprised TSA gave me the TSA pre-check global entry, and I was thinking I wasn't gonna get it. The only reason I got it is the specific credit card that I use. They allowed for me to, get that service for free. And when I applied, I didn't think I was gonna be able to get it really, because constantly have issues with TSA, like constantly. I'm sure I'm in there. I'm not sure. I was told uh, when I went to my in-person meeting with TSA, they were like, "Have you ever had a problem uh, with us? Like, has there ever been an issue?" And I'm like, I mean, the issue really has never been on my part. It'll be like, I'll never forget. This is during COVID. Um, I'm going through, the thing where you gotta put your hands up like this and they turn the machine around. So there was one TSA agent, he was being like a real jerk. Um, or not even, that's not how it started. So first, the lady tells me to take off everything. I had on a scarf around my neck, and I had on a mask, but it was like a bandana. But this is during the whole COVID time. That's what I used as my mask. Was a bandana. So she told me to take everything off. So I said, take everything off, a scarf. I saw ladies, I always see women go through with their scarves. So I'm like, I don't even want to deal with the nonsense. Long story short, when I get to the machine, the guy says you gotta have a mask on. And then he's like berating me, like, do you have anything in your pockets, this, that, and the other? I shake my head, no. He's like, you gotta answer. A lot of nonsense goes over TSA. Like, it's probably the only time, again, like a lot of these people, they actually take the jobs to, have a sense of power, a sense of authority that they never had. But again, that's why I'm always telling people, like, when you see people recording, you say, what's the purpose of recording? What is that gonna do? Like, you catch people doing these type of things.
surveillance video following the arrest of 3 TSA agents earlier this summer. They're accused of stealing from passengers as they went through security at MIA. And Local 10 News reporter Trent Kelly joins us live from the airport. He has a closer look at the agents who were caught in the act. Trent.
Yes, Ira Janice, these thefts allegedly happening back in June with those 3 TSA agents getting arrested 1 month later. Detectives heavily relying on some surveillance video from inside the terminal to make those arrests. Video which only now is being released to the public.
It's your job to make sure that everything that goes through security is safe, and it's not for your taking.
3 TSA agents arrested by police earlier this summer accused of stealing from passengers at Miami International Airport. Now, 2 months after their arrests, prosecutors are releasing new surveillance video allegedly showing the agents in action. The footage, recorded back on June 29th, appears to show one agent reaching inside a small bag to pull out a passenger's wallet. We've stopped the video here to give you a better look. The agent then stays with that bin on the conveyor belt until pushing it through and putting his hand in his pocket. In another clip, the same agent is joined by a colleague, the pair appearing to focus on the corner of a bag when one of them quickly pockets something, which according to police turned out to be $600 in cash. According to their arrest reports, this investigation started after MIA's federal security chief reached out to Miami.
So yeah, like in my situation with the TSA agent, they're stopping me with all this nonsense about answer me when I talk to you. Don't shake your head yes or no. Verbally answer me. And I'm like, dude, like, what is this guy talking to me like this for? So I'm just like, I got my hands up in the machine waiting for him to do the thing to make it spin, and he's not doing it. He's like, you gotta answer me. As he's doing all this ridiculous nonsense, I hear like things smashing on the floor. Basically, essentially, it's my property because they're still pushing everything through as he's not letting me get to mine. So all my things are falling on the floor. It's a whole big thing. Port Authority, police had to respond. Even a Port Authority, I have that video somewhere. I gotta find it. But even the Port Authority cop, he's like, so after the nonsense, he's like, you gotta do it again. So I do it again. The TSA agent tells me, he says, oh no, now the cop is there. So the Port Authority police are there. And he asks me if I have anything in my pocket. Again, the same nonsense that caused the problem to begin with. Obviously, there's nothing in my pocket. Like, I just want to get to my flight. He starts doing it again. So the cop intervenes, and the cop is like, listen, he answered you, buddy. Like, what's going on? Why are we being called here for this nonsense? Like, my phone cracked. There was a whole bunch of nonsense. But yeah, man, TSA, they're just as bad. It's funny. One of the things is with this, like, they force Americans to go through TSA, but you go to Arizona or you go to Texas, and they just let people walk across the border. So as an American paying for your flight, basically paying for the airport, paying for TSA, you get harassed. But meanwhile, they got people just coming through the border. Makes no sense, but it's not even the world, it's the country we live in.
Police about a string of thefts that had taken place near this security checkpoint near Concourse E.
I'm actually fairly shocked because TSA is a person, people you entrust to, scan your bags, and especially when you have this, like, oh, no more than 3 ounces. It's like, well, hey, you're going to take my money now, too? It's like, what the heck?
Miami-Dade police later arresting Liberius Williams, Josue Gonzalez, and Elizabeth Fuster after they say the trio not only stole from passengers, but were also caught conspiring on camera to distract them. All 3 now facing fraud charges as frequent flyers react to the video.
It's actually pretty shocking. I know, and I'm looking up, I'm feeling at my own wallet. I'm like, how much cash do I have in here? I'm like, okay.
And we are told that 2 of those agents ended up confessing to police while being questioned, while the 3rd refused to speak at all. All 3 have since bonded out of jail and are still awaiting trial. That's the latest live outside Miami International Airport this afternoon. I'm Trent Kelly, Local 10 News.
Oh, this video here, essentially, again, I've been running into this, and I have a couple of videos that I didn't put on YouTube yet. And one of the ways I deal with cops when they approach me, and they don't approach me in a manner that's of a police officer, is I'll tell them, like, I'm not going to listen to what you're saying, because right now, the way you're behaving, the way you're acting, it's not conducive of a police officer. Like, you got your badge covered. That's against, in my city, New York, that's against policy. You're on your personal cell phone. So I'm like, how do I really know that you're a cop? You know, how can I be sure that what you're telling me, like how can I be sure you're actual police officers? Like forget the uniform. Some people could go and buy you can actually purchase those uniforms. You gotta have an NYPD card, uh, your NYPD ID, but these are purchasable things. Like you hear all the time, like an company bought or an individual bought 24 UPS uniforms. Um, an individual bought 30 FedEx uniforms. So like, just because somebody's wearing a costume, because that's what these things are, just because somebody's wearing a particular outfit, one of the things my mother taught me when I was a kid was there was like a string. We lived in the Bronx. It was happening like every week. Essentially, robbers were impersonating police officers and they were robbing drug dealers. So one night my mom calls me into the living room and she's like, "Here, take a look at this." I'm like, "Why are you telling me this?" Mind you, give some perspective. I'm 6 years old, so I'm like, "Why are you telling me about this?" She's like, "Well, what would you do if a cop came up to you and asked you something?" I said, "Well, I guess I would listen, right?" She said, "No, you would have to make sure he's a cop." And basically, this is a whole long prelude to this in which a guy impersonated a police officer. You see him being placed in cuffs, badge on his right side of his hip. When these cops approach you, they gotta, if they're not acting in the manner of a police officer, question them.
Officer, we have a bomb dog. You want to just take a look at that bag really quick before you guys get into it? Yeah, okay, well, wait. Hey, Will, find out how long until... Doug. Yeah.
When I complete a job, create a payment link in the ones I send it to the customer, get paid there.
It's funny when you get stereotypical cops, 13 Philly officers taken off the streets.
Philly police officers are supposed to capture all arrests on their body-worn cameras. But when the department's internal affairs unit looked at the video for illegal gun possession arrests in March, investigators found discrepancies.
The audit found some things that were concerning, and we opened further investigations on those things.
Deputy Commissioner Robin Wimberly oversees internal affairs. She wouldn't share details on what those discrepancies were, other than to say,
The evidence versus paperwork versus what may have happened.
She adds that some officers did not.
Essentially, they're basically saying everything that police officers reported were complete nonsense. And in my opinion, when a cop has an interaction with a citizen and there's any debate as to what's going on, if the cop didn't put their body cam on, I'm not inclined to believe anything that police officers say. Like back in the day, they used to look at police officers as expert witnesses. So it's like, all of it is nonsense to me. Like ballistics. Ballistics when it comes to a gun, I think that's pretty open and shut. But like they'll have expert witnesses that say, for example, the shots came from the left side of the street based on the entry and the speed. But like there's a whole bunch of different things that go on when actual physical things are meeting each other. You know what I mean? So they'll have expert witnesses for like a psychologist who will say, Well, his behavior fits in line with narcissistic, psychotic uh, serial killers. And really and truly, at the end of the day, like that's just your opinion. Like you're considered an expert in that area. It's like it's still an opinion at the end of the day. Like it's not hard evidence. And essentially, why I went off on that little tangent is police officers used to be looked at as expert witnesses. It's like you have a civilian who's a witness to a crime, and then you have a police officer who's a witness to a crime. And they used to hold police officers they still do. Obviously, with everything that's going on with police officers, we always find out that the police report we've seen in multiple instances it doesn't add up. That's what she alluded to here. Evidence, all that thing, all those type of things. So, what I'm trying to say is that a police officer's word should be no more prevalent than a defendant's word, or unless if they don't turn that on that body camera, I'm inclined to believe that they're full of crap.
Have the body cameras on during the arrest.
They may purposely not turn them on, some who turn them off in the middle of an investigation.
Wimberly tells us that the audit looked at about 325 arrests. Of those, more than 50 arrests were found to be inconsistent with what officers reported. Based on the audit, 13...
So you hear that. 325 arrests, right? And 50 of them were found to be inconsistent with the arrest reports. Now, I'm inclined to think what that means is those 50 reports were so egregious that they had no choice but to, deem them incorrect. But out of those 325, I'm sure that there's more. It's gotta be more. It's gotta be more than that. Out of 50, 325, that means, again, they said the guy was wearing a purple hat, he tossed a gun. It's probably completely far-fetched, the things of that nature. And they saying, 13 officers were placed on...
Police officers were taken off the street and placed on desk duty pending the outcome of the investigation.
If some individuals have made some...
It's another thing I don't get, right? You were found, so out of 50 incorrect police reports, only 13 officers were placed on desk duty. Does that sound right to you guys? Do you think out of 50 reports, only 13 police officers were involved in 50 police reports? That doesn't sound right to me. Doesn't sound right. And also, these guys were found to, have dealt with police reports incorrectly. So you're putting them on desk duty, which that's essentially doing paperwork. So why are you putting people who are found to have done incorrect practice or methods, policy, whatever, breaking the law? Why are you putting those people who are found in the field to do incorrect business on police reports to now deal with paperwork inside of the department? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense when you put them on desk duty. It doesn't make sense when you suspend them with pay. The only way to learn from misconduct, from bad behavior, is to punish it. And that would mean putting these guys on suspension, pending review, until they're cleared. It just doesn't make sense. A lot of people talk about the police union being strong. If that's the case, it needs to
decisions
change.
Not to follow the rules, because the police department has to follow rules. We have rules. Then that would be a problem.
District Attorney Larry Krasner is aware of the findings. Is your office taking action now with some of those cases where you do have the body camera footage to prove that perhaps the truth wasn't told
as officers claim to
I'm
be.
not going to talk about any particular investigation. Obviously, it's illegal for me to talk about whether or not there is a grand jury investigation and what it might be doing.
But he tells us that the internal affairs investigation may implicate more than the 13 sent to desk duty.
My opinion is yes, the number could be larger, but, obviously we work off of evidence, we work off of facts, not off of speculation.
Fraternal Order of Police President John McNesby says the department and the DA should be focusing on getting criminals off the street instead of police.
There's more focus on the Philadelphia police and what they're doing wrong than how many shooters are out there.
He says the department hasn't yet shared the audit in question with the FOP. The union is representing the 13 officers.
I'm sure at the end of the day, when the officer gets to tell their side of the story, that they'll be exonerated and they'll be put back to work.
Cracker, however, says if a crime was committed, he will charge those officers.
The bottom line is filling out false police paperwork is a crime. Providing a false version of an incident to police is a crime. And testifying falsely in court is a crime.
In the meantime, Internal Affairs is continuing its investigation. Do you think we'll see criminal charges come from this?
Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
And the police department is working on a new policy regarding the review of body-worn camera following arrest. We'll bring you those details once we have them. For the investigators, Claudia Vargas, NBC 10 News.
Yeah, bro. Nah, I completely agree. It's only what they get caught doing. And like I was saying before, it's the same thing Brooklyn was saying, is that at the end of the day, right? Like 325. So why did you investigate 325? Why did you audit 325 police reports? In the first place, there had to be a discrepancy or an issue, whether it was the client, not the clients, the people accused of the crimes, whether it be their lawyers, whether I don't ever really see Internal Affairs really do anything.
Focus on the Philadelphia police and what they're doing wrong, then
There's a lot of crazy things going on in America right now. Cop getting sued for $500,000. Let's take a look at this one.
This arrest ended up in a $5 million lawsuit. Watch this.
Is this your bike? It's your bike? You got ID on you?
Why do you need my ID?
Because somebody saw you looking at cars, so I'm here just checking to see what's going on. You got ID on you?
Yeah, I do, but
Okay,
can I do
I'll
anything?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
That's the same thing they bust our balls for in New York, looking inside of cop cars. So basically, essentially, you get the gist of what's going on here. Maybe he was recording. It doesn't really matter what he was doing as long as he wasn't trying to get inside of somebody's car. And we're gonna see where this leads to.
Turn that out right now. I'll take a look at your ID though.
You don't need my ID unless I did something.
Okay.
Unless you're taking me in for something like
Turn around, put your hands behind your back right now. Now.
For what?
Turn around, put your hands behind your back now.
For what?
You're gonna obey me, or you're
Why
gonna go
do
on the
you
ground.
obey?
Because I'm giving you a lawful order.
For what?
Turn around and put
Did
your
I
hands
do
behind your
anything?
back.
Did I do anything?
Yes. Turn around and put your hands
What did
behind
I
your
do?
back.
What did I do?
Do you want to get tased?
Excuse me?
Turn around and put
For
your
what? Do you know I work here?
Turn around and put your hands behind your back.
Hold on.
Stop, Nick. Stop.
I can
Stop.
get my phone out.
Stop.
Wait,
Stop.
why are you putting your
Stop.
hands on me?
Stop.
Okay.
Stop.
I know my right.
Stop talking and stop fighting, or we will use force.
I force now.
Stop.
We have a unit.
Oh, can I?
I'm not really sure what's going on with Patrick Lynch. I think he's already out, right? What's going on, bro? Hold on, guys. I'll hop back on in a minute. For some reason, my whole left side of my screen isn't working. What the hell is going on?